You're good.
I'll try and stay here as best I can. All right, so you have the information as a hard copy. It's also on Moodle. As you already know, you're going to pick an activity, divide it into 4 phases, and then you're going to analyze each phase. Okay? Because I had the class on Monday, that's why I sent the email out to give you a chance to email me the activity that you wanted. Because each student must have a different activity. So if you haven't already, at some point soon, tonight, tomorrow, email me the activity you'd like to do. If you really want to do it well, maybe email me a couple choices. Some of the more obvious ones have been taken, like a basketball free throw, like a baseball swing. So you might have to be creative, but there's so many things out there. So it can be like a sport activity, or it can be, for my rehab people, it can be like a rehab type exercise. Like the example that I gave was a sit to stand test. So I give you a lot of freedom. Make sure that it's something that ideally you are familiar with. It's going to be easier for you to analyze the activity if you already know some things about it. Because as you're going to find out, I'm going to be asking you to not only analyze what's happening, but talk to me about it. Maybe give me some directions on form, or talk about why you do it this way versus that way. So if you're familiar with it, it makes it a little easier. Plus, if you're familiar with it, maybe it's less painful. If it's an activity that you like. Okay? All right, so you're going to pick an activity. Make sure it is enough of an activity that we can have 4 phases. So I've had a couple people email me like really simple weightlifting. For a bicep curl, there's not enough to make it into 4 phases. So I'm looking for something a little more complex. Okay? All right, so get your brain juices going. Make sure that you email me and you have confirmed with me that it's not taken and that it's appropriate by a week from today. I put this information on Moodle. I have an announcement up there where I have these documents attached, and I just put these dates so you remember. So make sure that you have the topic emailed and approved by next Thursday.
For the 4 phases, let's say you said somebody already did like a baseball swing, so how would 4 different phases be? Like fun, full, like a really hard swing, I'm going to talk about that.
So in terms of the 4 phases, I'm going to let you divide them up.
Okay.
They should be logical, but they don't have to, there's no like one right answer.
Okay.
Just make them logical. There's probably going to be some kind of preparatory phase, then maybe like an explosion phase, a peak phase, and then a recovery. I mean, it really depends on the activity.
Okay, because when you said look at the bicep curl, it's just like how, I didn't know how you wanted like the 4 phases.
Well, what I was saying was a bicep curl is not a good choice for an activity.
Oh, okay.
Because it's only this and this. We can't get 4 phases out of that.
Okay.
So ideally, it's more of an activity, more involved.
Okay.
Okay? Yeah, I think there's an argument that if you have an activity where, I mean, on its surface, it might be easier if you have the same view for all 4 phases, but if it's a particular activity where a different view is beneficial, then do it. All right, so once you pick your activity, email it to me by next Thursday, March 11th. You're going to record someone doing that activity, or have someone record you. I mean, everyone's got a smartphone now, so you can just press record. I told you before that I recorded my cat. You can't use a cat, but I recorded my cat just because it was fun to show it as an example. So I recorded her with my phone jumping up to catch a ball and coming down. And then once I pulled up that video, I was able to stop it at particular times. So you want to stop the video. So I just said this was, isn't she cute? She's got a little white tip tail. Cute. So I called this her preparatory phase. And then I called this her jumping phase. Cute, right? So you take a video and then pull it up on your computer, even your phone, and then stop it at the times that you think would make sense for those. So if you're doing two different views, you might have to record it twice or walk around. And this was her catching the ball phase and then her recovery phase. All right, so after you record the activity and you stop the frame into 4 specific phases, then we need to transfer these phases into pictures. Because what you're going to do is you're going to do an analysis of each phase. And this analysis of each phase follows what we've been doing in lab. So you will see in your lab project, you've got a bunch of tables. This one, yeah. So first, you'll do a description of motion. This is back to our second lab. So for each phase, you're going to tell me what joint motion is occurring at each joint. For each phase. Then, for each phase, you're going to do a kinematic analysis. So for each phase, you're going to choose some sort of distance measurement. And then do that distance measurement for all 4 phases. You know, you might do that distance measurement while a friend is actually doing them in front of you. The video recording, you'll need to actually get a snapshot of the 4 phases, and you'll need for the center of gravity analysis. But for the others, you may want to actually have the person in front of you, right? Then you're going to pick 2 different joints, and you're going to measure the joint range of motion. So you pick the 2 same joints for all 4 phases. Then you're going to do a kinetic analysis. We can use our trusty old 1 to 5 subjective force measurement. And then you're going to pick 2 joints and tell me what type of loads are occurring. So it's what we've been doing in all the labs. So you should have a wealth of material to help you. Then you're going to do a muscular analysis. We did this in lab 2 labs ago. So you're going to tell me in each phase what muscles are acting as the agonist, antagonist, synergist, neutralizer. And then you're going to do a center of gravity analysis. So there's different ways you can do this. So one way is to pull up your video onto a computer screen. And I'm going to give you today some old-fashioned transparencies. So one way to convert your picture into this, which allows you to do the center of gravity, is to pull this video up on your computer, literally put this up to the computer screen and trace. That's probably the best way to do it, right? Because that's what I did. Now, hold on here. So I pulled the picture up, and then I traced it, my little kitty. Okay. And then, to get this to this, you can either trace it, or what I did is I just put this on my printer, and I press scan. And this is what came out. You know what I mean? So once you have the outline You can trace it to a blank sheet of paper, or I just put this transparency on the printer top and I press scan, and then I printed that out. And that's how I got this. Does that make sense to everyone?
Doing that for all 4 phases?
Correct. So today I'm going to give each one of you 4 blank transparencies. So when you're done for each phase, you will have a picture like this. And then you can do your center of gravity analysis, which I did. Your hypothesis, and then your actual center of gravity. And I give you in your packet, but also on Moodle, there's also the data sheets to do the center of gravity. So it's a lot, but this is why you have time. Next week there's no lab. There's also, I think 2 weeks after that, there's a week where I purposely don't have lab, and it's like a lab workshop for you at home to work on this. Don't wait till the last minute, because this does take time, right? And when you hand all these tables in, I'm always surprised. People are surprised that I actually grade them. I don't know if you have other teachers who like come the last of the semester, they just check off that you did it. But I'm gonna sit down and make sure that your joint motions are correct. So if for the forearm you have abduction, points off, because we know the forearm can only do pronation, supination. So not only do you have to do it, it's gotta be correct. Okay. And then you'll see in the assignment sheet, it breaks down everything you're going to do. So you're going to do those analyses of each phase. Then you're going to write me up a written report. The page number is never as important to me, but everyone wants to know about how long. So I put like 3 to 4 pages. And I give you a list of questions to answer. So all you have to do is write up your summary, say, the activity I chose to analyze is a fly fishing cast. I broke it down into the following 4 phases. Phase 1, cocking back. Phase 2, cast. Phase 3, hits the water. Phase 4, recovery, I don't know. And then you answer these questions. You can see they're very specific. You know, tell me about what you learned. Be specific. Pick some things out of the analysis. Talk to me about what's beneficial. Like, the reason why the agonist in this phase is the quads is because it allows the most force, or it's safer. You'll see, how did the center of gravity change? Use some of the things that we've talked about from lecture. The center of gravity in this phase should be low because the center of gravity will go higher and to the right because. List and describe 2 stretches that can be done before or after to help. List and describe 4 strengthening exercises that can be done to help. List and describe 2 balance exercises. So as long as you follow the directions, okay? And then everyone's going to do a 15-minute teaching presentation. This will be done in lab. If you look at the lab schedule, the last 2 weeks of labs are only presentations. Once everyone has submitted their topic, so you'll all have submitted to me your topic that's approved no later than next Thursday, March 11th. I will be telling you which date you're going to be presenting in lab by the following week, March 18th. Because I want you to know when yours is due. Okay? So your due date for your assignment is whatever date your presentation is. It's on the syllabus, so I think it's the last 2 weeks. So on the day of your presentation, not only will you present, but you'll also hand in to me your written summary, your pictures, and your graphs. I give you a complete breakdown of what I'm looking for in that presentation. I want it to be 15 minutes, and I mean that, so practice. You're going to present like we are your class. So I know a lot of you are PE majors. So you're gonna do a 15-minute presentation like it was a PE class. And the rest of us will be your students. Make sure you state clearly what grade level. So you'll show up. Hi, the activity that I'm analyzing is a basketball free throw, and this presentation is going to be geared towards middle schoolers. For my rehab people, maybe your audience would be potential patients. So you would just say that. So whatever the audience you want it to be, state it. My audience today, I analyze the sit-to-stand test. My audience is going to be elderly patients. And then we'll act as the elderly patients. I tell you exactly what I'm looking for. Introduce the activity, tell us about the phases, demonstrate it, have us do some part of it, include something from your analysis, come up with an exercise or activity that allows us to practice a part of it. Obviously, you probably can't have us do the whole activity, but maybe pick one piece of it and create an activity that would help us to understand how to better do it. Please be creative. Maybe you're a coach, so maybe the audience is the athletes in the team. Okay? And then you're going to conclude and give me some wrap-up points. Yes. Your lab grade is composed of this project and your cumulative lab workbook. That's it. This analysis can be like something you could put in a portfolio. If you're going to be a PE teacher, look at this fantastic kinematic analysis. Ooh. I mean, you pull out these things, that's impressive. Questions? What do you got? My cat cute? She's got a little white patch on her chest and a white patch in her hoo-hoo. Did you get that on video?
Yeah.
Good. Nobody's got questions?